All right, welcome back. This year marks a major milestone for one of America's legendary highways, the 100th anniversary of Route 66. And the National Museum of Transportation is opening a brand new exhibit called Roads, Rivers, Rooms, and Reels to celebrate. It highlights the culture, travel, and entertainment that grew up along Route 66 and across the Midwest. Joining us now to talk more about the exhibit and the history behind it is the museum's curator, Kobe Ellison. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Of course. And so we know this year obviously marks 100 years of Route 66. We've been talking about it for a while now.
Yep.
Why was it important to create a special exhibit around that anniversary?
I mean, it was such a major accomplishment for transportation history in our country. It provided a lifeline from basically Chicago to Santa Barbara, California, and along the way, culture developed. I mean, people really didn't go on vacations like that. They didn't, it opened up trucking, it opened up commerce, it opened up, you needed a place to stay. So these real motels would pop up, and then you had people that needed a place to eat. And so you had these little cafes that would pop up. You had people that, their car broke down, so they had these garages that would pop up. And it just created this level of culture that our country really hadn't seen to that level at that time, and it's still a very nostalgic, hobby, I guess, obsession for people. We get a lot of foreign visitors at the museum because we're kind of right on the route itself, and we're also flagged as being, you guys got to stop here because they have some historic stuff that's always on exhibit, not just for this big Centennial thing. So that's why we think it's really great. I mean, we're hoping it's going to bring in a lot of people that haven't been to the museum in 10, 15 years. We did over the last year, some really, really major changes to some of our buildings and things like that. So if you haven't been there, even in a year, I think you're going to see a lot of stuff that you haven't seen before.
And what are people going to see with this exhibit?
Well, the big highlight right now is the model of the Admiral that the local sheet metal union, Local 36, retirees have worked on. And they've been working on it for over a year. They contacted me about a year ago and they said, hey, we're doing this model. It was basically based on an earlier model that was built in the early 80s. And they said, we really want to do this model. We have this technology now that we didn't have in the early 80s, and we need something to do. And I said, I'll tell you what, we have this Route 66 exhibit that's coming up, and I think that would be a jewel in the crown of that exhibit because of its connection and history with St. Louis.
Right.
And so we talked about it, and then I'd go in and check on their progress, and each time I went in there, I was just like blown away at the level of detail and everything. So it sits right in the middle of the Orthwine Center, which is our main visitor center, with a 10-foot high stainless steel arch that goes over it. So as you walk in the room, it's really striking. And then we've also incorporated kind of memories that people have of riding the Admiral, because I'm not originally from St. Louis, so I never really got a chance to experience it. But just from talking to people and some of the volunteers at the museum and things like that, I mean, that was a big deal to go on the Admiral. And I didn't realize how many people it had on it. It could hold. I learned that there was a brig.
Yeah, there's so much history there. I know the exhibit also highlights 66 Park and Theater. Why do you think, drive-ins were such a big part of the culture of Route 66?
It was entertainment.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a novelty. You could bring the whole family and, bring your own treats if you wanted to. Of course, you could shop the concession stand.
Yeah.
But, I remember going to the drive-in growing up, and we always had a cooler, and we'd make sandwiches and lay on the hood of the car and watch the movie.
And they're making a comeback too.
Yeah,
a lot of places now have drive-ins, so there is that nostalgic feeling.
Yeah. And so we have what is known as the Warrenburg Popcorn Express.
Oh.
And it was a tram that was used at the drive-in to kind of haul kids around before the movie started, so it was quite the attraction. And then it was also used in a lot of parades, and that's just from the feedback that I've received from people. We haven't put it on exhibit yet. It's at the museum.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that, it's a nostalgic exhibit in addition to an educational exhibit.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as we wrap up, when is this exhibit going to be happening?
It opens on the 14th.
Okay.
And it'll run through probably October, beginning maybe of November. It just really depends. Kind of coincides, the closing coincides with our big holiday exhibits. So that's kind of a loosey-goosey, ending, but it'll be up at least through the summer and into the fall.
Okay, great. So a lot of time for people to experience
A lot of people to see it, yep. And we're open 9 to 4, 7 days a week. So yeah, we really look forward to maybe people coming out and, again, experiencing the museum that hasn't maybe been there for a while.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us about this. This is awesome.
It was my pleasure, my pleasure.
Thank you. All right.